Oh, good morning, everybody. Patty here from Conscious Life News. Dire warnings from past U.S. presidents and other high-profile leaders about an invisible government that runs the U.S. with no allegiance to the people. There are a lot of critics of the U.S. government these days. Admittedly, a good part of the time, I'm one of them. Some people would say that the criticism is just evidence of our jaded modern times. Not so, my friends. Let's take a look at what insiders have been saying about the American government over the past 217 years. And by insiders, I don't mean Capitol Hill journalists or presidential aides. I'm talking about actual past presidents, vice presidents, congressmen, senators, and high-profile political leaders. Together, these historical leaders paint a pretty dire picture of our democracy, saying that the U.S. is under the control of an invisible government, owing no allegiance or acknowledging no responsibility to the people. And this invisible government is the true ruling power in our country. They go on to explain how shadow government has been in control of the U.S. ever since the days of Andrew Jackson, since at least 1836. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. They virtually run the United States government for their own selfish purposes. They practically control both parties. We know they control both sides of wars. So wars are always profitable. Doesn't matter who wins. Anyways, it operates under cover of self-created screen and seizes our executive officers, legislative bodies, schools, courts, newspapers, and every agency created for the public protection. As a result, these leaders say, we have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government by free opinion, no longer a government by conviction and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and the duress of small groups of dominant men. The danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. Therefore, to destroy this invisible government, to befoul the unholy alliance between corrupt business and corrupt politics, is the first task of the statesmanship of the day. Okay, I'm going to go down here. Okay, George Washington. It was not my intention to doubt that the doctrines of the Illuminati, that's the shadow government, you guys, and principles of Jacobinism had not spread in the United States. On the contrary, no one is more truly satisfied of this fact than I am. The idea that I meant to convey was that I did not believe that the lodges of the Freemasons in this country had, as societies, endeavored to propagate the diabolical tenets of the first or pernicious principles of the latter, if they are susceptible of separation. That individuals of them may actually have a separation of the people from their government in view is too evident to be questioned. Okay, Thomas Jefferson. I sincerely believe with you that the banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies. Thomas Jefferson. Okay, let me go down here. Okay, Theodore Roosevelt. Behind the ostensible government sits enthroned an invisible government, owing no allegiance and acknowledging no responsibility to the people. To destroy this invisible government, to befoul the unholy alliance between corrupt business and corrupt politics. Okay, I read that already. So, and this guy here, John F. Hyland. The real menace of our republic is the invisible government, which like a giant octopus sprawls its slimy legs over our cities, states, and nation. A little coterie of powerful international bankers virtually run the United States government for their own selfish purposes. They control both sides. down here, Senator William Jenner, 1954 speech. Today the path of total dictatorship in the U.S. can be laid by strictly legal means. We have a well-organized political action group in this country determined to destroy our Constitution, and I think they have. It operates secretly, silently, continuously to transform our government. This ruthless power-seeking elite is the disease of our century. This group is answerable neither to the President, the Congress, nor the courts. It is practically irremovable. So now let's take a listen to the very famous speech given by John F. Kennedy.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors, for as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, reflect, state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger